Siege monstrosities.
Welcome. Frequently Asked Questions with Fuzzy and Quincy, the podcast. We are here. Fuzz, I'm excited.
What was up with that accent you just had?
They not going to even see that. You talking about this?
No, you went the podcast.
Oh, the podcast.
What was that, man?
I was trying to hit another button. No,
Yo, we got sponsored by Shure, and we got these new microphones, so we acting real different.
Yeah, we're acting very special. Well, it's a special day. Oh,
very
my goodness.
Special day.
Yes, it is a special day. It is Dilla Day. We are celebrating the life and times and accomplishments of J Dilla. Let's give it up for J Dilla.
Yeah,
right
man.
Now, we have his mother live from international, national. I don't want to say what, but she's here.
She popping right now. We got Ma Dukes on with us, man.
How you doing, Ma Dukes?
I'm just fine, thank you. Fine, indeed.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for taking time out.
Me. I'm most honored.
Ma Dukes has been influential, man, since listen, I don't know if Ma Dukes remember me back in the 90s when I used to call the house and always harass Dilla in fact, the way I came across Dilla because him and Fat Cat had a group called First Down, and I used to work at Payday.
Okay.
So after that, that's how that's early J Dilla. I want to be very honest here. So, me and J Dilla became cool. Like I was his LA connect to a lot of stuff going on in LA, and I would call Dilla when I needed beats and stuff. And so you do remember me from back in the day, and
You have no idea.
Oh, wow.
But I'm to say to you today.
Okay, I want to hear it. I want to hear it all because I never had a chance to interact. Me and Dilla would have our off on conversation about a bunch of random stuff. And when he came to LA, we hung out quite a few times. And I remember a particular time I came to Detroit, and me, Dilla, Cat, a couple other people. We went to a club. I'll say a club.
Which one?
He know her son. Ma Dukes knows her son.
Hey, he had a VIP spot in each one of them.
Yeah, so we was at a club with a bunch of ladies dancing.
Yeah.
So we had a good time. And a funny thing, Ma Duke, me and Dilla used to have these conversations. And one day I randomly called him and I told him, I was saying, Dilla, man, I just had my daughter. I had my daughter on October 1st. He said, what? I just had my daughter on October 1st.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, coincidence, me and Dilla had our first kid on the same day. Amazing. But to rewind that, the lady, the mother of her, that's when we went to the club, and that's where it was her.
Exactly.
Ma Dukes.
Truth be told.
Bingo. But we gave Dilla a hard time. We was like, bro, you on her head. She said, no, but that's the girl we was saying. I was like, oh, I didn't know.
Wow.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. But anyway, so me and Dilla had a bunch of
a daughter on the same day and
daughter on the same day. Yeah, we both had our first daughter.
You had more. Dilla held so much regards for you as far as being that dude. He felt comfortable, confident in your presence, and you were his guy. He told me, we talked so much, and you are one of the people that, and I'm saying this as God knows, it came from his mouth to my ears. I really love Fuzzy. He said that's one of the most important people that I've ever met that I hold here. And I just could not. I'm like, wow. So every time your name came up in the industry at any time, it just did something to me because you can count on one hand those people that Dilla felt that way about.
Yeah.
He was a recluse, that unless it was a studio. But you touched him in a way, and it was like no nonsense. He was about your business. He never had to worry about any interactions with you because he knew that you was that dude and you were going to handle business right. He had no worries.
Yeah,
I was tons to him.
I was really trying to I just, at the time I was, I left Payday Records when Dino had signed him and Fat Cat. And I started working at Warner Brothers. So me and Dilla started having, right. So I was at Warner Brothers and we started having a conversation about, I was trying to get Slum Village over there.
Yeah.
And my other A&R dude didn't see the vision. I'm like, but I said, this is my guy. And I kept on leaning on the friendship. I said, Dilla's special. So he ended up passing on Slum Village. But I remember I gave Dilla his first remix check. Like,
Huh?
he did a remix for me, and I told Q the story of, like, I was in a promotion meeting, and we had an artist named Little Indian, and I couldn't
Oh
get any,
yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Right.
I remember that.
so it was Little Indian, and I couldn't get any traction because the original version was whatever. So they said, Fuzzy, you get the remix done. I said, I'm not. So I'm like, I talk to Dilla every day. I said, Dilla, you want to do a remix? He said, yeah. I said, I got some money for you. And I forgot whatever the amount was. He was like, you gonna give me that for that? I'm like, Dilla, yeah. So that was his first major label remix. And he turned around in 2 days.
Wow.
And I'm like, he said, you didn't even do anything else? I said, hell no, I'm taking it like it is. And I paid him. But to me, it wasn't a big deal. But the Dilla was like, hey, dog, you just don't know what you did to me, man. You just paid me.
It was one of those times.
Yeah,
Dilla was having, around that time, was having a daycare built for me at that time.
I never
I
knew
remember.
that.
And I saw the, I used to keep in touch and make sure that he turned paperwork in on time, because he would not be bothered with anything. And I had to ease my way in the studio and get him to sign stuff so I could get back in time, you know, for production people. So, yeah.
Wow. When do, I mean, everyone now, and especially when, he was making music and he was here, people were just so, moved by him, his personality, his music. When did you see something special in him? Like, oh my goodness, this is, he's destined to take the world over.
Well, I never thought that, but I knew it before he was a year old. He was not normal like kids I knew, it was something different about him. He just seemed to just absorb everything and never forget anything. And before he could even walk, he was dancing and playing to James Brown, and he couldn't stand up or walk. But he would end up in the middle of the playpen, unable to reach the sides, because that second or third beat, it was like no fear. And he was just consumed with James Brown. And by some crazy manner, I would watch him in fear. I would watch him like with my eyes not moving. And I didn't want to scare him by running to him and make him hurt himself. But it was often like, it's the second, third time I noticed that by the second or third beat before it end, he knew when he would freeze and then try to figure out which direction to reach toward that playpen so he wouldn't hurt himself.
Wow.
But before that, it was like he was in another world. He was like consumed and nothing mattered. He was not afraid at all. So that, I knew something was up then. And then at maybe 3 or 4 months, his dad would put him to sleep, doing bass runs, because he was not a baby that wanted to sleep at night. He could stay up all night and be happy. But I was like sleepy because I was studying. Whenever he'd nap, I studied because I continued to go to school, and it was like crazy. And I'd be so tired, and I almost want to go to sleep trying to rock him. And his dad would get him, rock him on his knee, and pat him on the belly, and do bass runs on his belly, and just hum the bass runs, and like he played upright bass. And when he do the runs, Dilla would make perfect pitch harmony with the bass run. So what you're figuring, how could he make perfect pitch harmony? Because he shouldn't even be able to hum along with him, but he would contrast it doing harmony in perfect pitch, not going off. And even when Mr. Yancey, he was a stickler for trying to fool you. And even when dancing or singing, he tried to trip you up. He never could do that to Dilla. He always heard the change. Even with D7 chords and sharps, he was on it. And I was like, we were amazed. We just looked at each other like, what the hell? And he tried and tried. He never could cross him up. And it was something that we laughed at, but because he was not even a year old, we never thought that he was going to grow up to be this person in music, And of course, we would have been recording because we had to be reel to reels, and we were rehearsing people every day with, different things, either vocally or with their instruments. But we never thought that being in that environment, he was soaking in everything. I'm sure that he probably was soaking in everything, because we certainly didn't teach him everything that he knew.
Yeah, man. Listen, he's affected the world. It was one person Fuzz reached out to, and he was in class and he was teaching, and we was like, look, we're doing something with J Dilla, and right away we said, dude, I'm in. Right. We got, legendary. He's on. We appreciate him all over North Carolina.
One of my partners. Ninth Wonder.
Let's get him for
Oh my, that's my heart.
Wow. Hey, well, hold on, man.
Come on, man.
You can tell Ninth Wonder don't stay in an apartment. Look at that, man. Look at that shoot.
Had to move.
Yeah.
Had to move to
another wing of the house. I get it.
Hey, mama, how you doing?
Ninth Wonder, we just thank you. When Fuzz called, we were talking to you, man, like, and right away you're like, man, I'm in class, but no, anything for Dilla. I love Dilla. Like, can you just tell my dudes, tell the world on Dilla Day, what Dilla meant to you, and how he influenced you?
Man, Dilla made a way out of no way, man. Probably one of the biggest ways he influenced me is because the sound that he put out, some people thought it was only indicative of New York City, right? That only people from New York can make those type of beats and sample that way, and either New York or Los Angeles. North Carolina, Detroit, those were kind of like the forgotten places when it came to that sound, right? And other places too. So he took on that particular sound. I mean, he really fathered a lot of things. I think that he doesn't get the credit for being the father of, which I don't really like the term, but being the father of the quote unquote neo soul sound, right? Putting claps and beats and
exactly
the warm type of sound that he, that dominated R&B in the late 1990s, right? And
that's real.
Another way he influenced me is because he's he's the most prolific beat maker we've ever seen, because his, I'm still hearing new Dilla beats. Like, you know what I mean? I'm still hearing
more.
And a lot more, right? And he, in a roundabout way, taught me it was the music before the face and the person. That your music will travel further than whatever you can even think about traveling. And that was another way. And then another way is, Dilla sampled the world. He didn't sample just, American soul. He sampled Brazilian records. He sampled, all type of records, which kind of made me increase my palette. And when I go to a record store, not to just look at the soul section or the jazz section, look at the progressive rock section, look at the salsa section, look at so many different sections, and then still turn them into what you want to turn them into. So, the first time I heard Dilla, when I knew it was him, I had heard Running, but I didn't know it was him. I heard Stake This High, but I know it was him, but it was the first time I heard Get This Money. It was Fonte from Little Brother asked me, had I seen the movie Office Space? And I said, no, I hadn't seen it. And he said, it's a group on that, a soundtrack called Slum Village. You need to check it out. They got a song called Get This Money. And when I played it, this is at a time, this is 1998, 1999. And this is around the time where a lot of us was fleeing radio and listening to underground. Not so much because of the subject matter, it was because the music didn't feel the same, right? Puff was doing his thing, Bad Boy was doing his thing. The radio started to change as far as sound. The South was making a run, Master P was making his run. So that native tongue sound that I was used to hearing, samples I was used to hearing a certain way, I wasn't hearing them like that anymore. And here comes this guy out of nowhere, giving me that feel, that euphoric feeling I was used to hearing when I heard Electric Relaxation or when I heard Bonita Applebum, like those type of vibes.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, man, like, this is crazy. And so after that, I think Questlove had made a post about Fantastic Volume 1, and it was on hiphopsite.com. And, I found some more music that way. Then I ordered a 12-inch by his group J8, and Look of Love remixes on there. It was like a couple of Look of Love versions on there. And it wasn't until 2000 or late 99, I got a burnt copy of Fantastic Volume 2.
Yeah.
And then I bought the album when it dropped in 2000, and that and Like Water for Chocolate was out at the same time. So I was listening to all the stuff that's on Fantastic Volume 2, but then I was listening to Like Water for Chocolate, and everybody, you know, the single off that album was The Light, but my joint was Mac Champa was mine. Still
God.
And just, you know, he just had that feel. He was cutting through, like every time, you know, the mainstream do something, whatever, he just really didn't care. Like he just was doing him no matter what, and I feel like he always felt that no matter what, if I just keep filling this cup, it's gonna runneth over, and everybody's gonna hear what I'm doing. And I kind of took on that moniker in the same way. Like, if I just keep my lane and stay in my lane and stick to what I believe in, my cup's gonna runneth over. So, you know, my Dukes and I have a lot of ties. You know, we have, you know, mutual people I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We are both a part of the Universal Zulu Nation. And, you know, I've seen her on many occasions around, and it's always love. Like, it's, you know,
always one.
Love. Yeah. Yeah, man. So.
And my Dukes, I hope you feel the love that from I want to say the Dilla community, how we surround you with positive energy and love. And, you know, we did I don't know if you remember, you came to LA and we did when we had the orchestra, the Suite for My Dukes, and everybody showed up. I hosted that night, and it was just a beautiful night. It was an orchestra playing nothing but Dilla music. Dilla came out, and Talib Kweli. Like, it was like everybody showed up. And when they did Stakes is High, I felt like it was a crazy energy of like, you had the
orchestra.
Yeah, it was a big orchestra, and you had Stakes is High. Then you had, I remember Pastas coming up, just looking in the sky. And I'm like, oh, this is a moment. We're having a moment right now. Like, and the venue was packed, top to bottom.
Yeah. Yes, so it was.
Everybody loved Dilla. Like, even though I knew Dilla was quiet, like, me and Dilla would clown because he was like, oh, I see you got your Cartiers. So I would make sure I had Cartiers on when we hung out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna tell you a couple of funny stories. One, so Ninth just mentioned Common, right?
Yes.
So me and Dilla would have a relationship. We talk to each other every Friday when there was an album release. We would call each other, hey man, you check out so-and-so's album? Yeah, man, it's hot. Oh, you check out so-and-so's, that's weak, man. Woo. So me and Dilla are having a conversation. It's around Christmas time. I'll never forget. I'm driving because I remember I was going shopping. He said, hey man, you listen to Common Electric Circus? I said, yeah, I only like one song on there. It's the song that Pharrell and them did, which was the what was that?
Come Close.
Yeah. I said, I love Come Close. I said, but the album is whatever. He said, what? What you say? I said, Dilla, man, he went too far. He said, you look on the back of the album? You look on the back of the album? I said, nah, I ain't looking on the back of the album. I'm executive producer of the project. I'm like, he said, I'm co-executive producer. So I was like, hey, Dilla, ain't a diss to you, man. I just don't like, y'all went so left with, man, we recorded Jimi Hendrix studio and all that. I said, hey, man, we speaking honest. Listen, man, I know y'all experiment. And he was like, Fuzzy, I'm gonna call you later. And I was he was calling to tell me that he got the EP credit on the back, and I went left on his ass.
That's funny.
But that was truthful.
Yeah, that was truthful. He was like, Fuzz, we talked later on, but he was like, nah, I hear you, man. I hear you. But we would have like conversations like this. And it's funny when I called Ninth for this, because Ninth is a music head, and I love my brother. And he said he had never had a chance to meet Dilla.
Or talk
to him. And I was like, oh, I thought you guys had.
They were kindred spirits, you know? Kindred spirits. Yeah. But let me tell you, when I met Ninth, and the last time, matter of fact, even after I met him, and I was still starstruck that whole night. You know, I was at the Zulu Nation meeting of anniversary, and meeting of the heads, and then meeting of the minds. I'm sorry, and then I met him again in Miami, and I was starstruck the whole night. I could hardly speak. I'm sitting back there in the green room area, and I was just like frozen. It just, you have no idea how it felt to be back there with you.
Wow.
The whole world won't say that they feel the same way that I was feeling. And I was like floating. I was like, you couldn't tell me nothing. And like, you have that power, and you are humble. And does it work? No, I don't need that. You are most humble, and which makes it even more magnifying, because you know, and you don't worry about what the world. Sort of like Dilla, he didn't care what the world thought. It was about this work that and this mission that he was on.
Yeah.
And just to say, because you carry yourself that way and you reach out to people and you show the love that you have for Dilla, I've had people come and work and help me to do things that the foundation has to do that are very important, have offered to fly and have participated in conferences for nothing to help. And I mean professional people, because of you tonight.
Wow.
And somebody in North Carolina. The latest one would be Jeremy Hart, that lives in North Carolina. And he's helped and been instrumental in helping me. And we still keep in contact. Such a wonderful young man. And by him being his age and being able to talk to young people means tons. He's so wise for his age, but he has that knowledge now. And he knows that what you learn in the schools and the higher administrations of the schools, you got to come back and get the grit to get to where you at. So that's what he fills us up with. Now, you have been tremendous and have done a marvelous work. It's still working.
Wow.
Yeah.
My Dukes, can you talk about the work of the foundation?
The work of the foundation is like steady moving right now. So get to talk about that. Because of Pharrell and I Am Other, they had a brainstorm about 3 years ago to try to spearhead a STEAM program and have a Dilla Tech grant to promote education in the schools and supply schools with electronic instrumentation and things for the future, so that the youth that don't want to play, actual instruments can learn by technology and prepare themselves for this world coming along, because they want to be a part of it. And it's so many different occupations in the field if they are trained right. So we had it happen. VH1 and MTV, say the music program, decided that we would do together as a family a Dilla Tech grant. And it's in high schools. It's open in all high schools in the country. And just in December, we have added middle schools. So even middle schools can apply for the grant. All they need is a teacher that's willing to teach. I think it's at least a 1 hour class per week.
Okay.
If they can dedicate that. And the instruments, they cover all of the costs and everything. And because of the pandemic, they supplied even the instruments to some of the students' homes, to those schools that are not open. Detroit finally got one, and Central High School. I'm so proud that Detroit, his hometown, finally got one. But we have the high schools. We have a couple in Philly. We have in New York. We have one in California. We have two in California, I'm sorry. Yeah. We have two in New Orleans. And we just got the first middle school in New Orleans a couple weeks ago. Okay, so we're steadily moving, and it's open to anyone. Anyone can apply. If you go to the James D. Yancey Foundation website, you can go on the link and see that it tells about it, how to apply for it. And it's like very simple. It's nothing complicated. It's no strings attached. But it's really the problem with not having many people is finding somebody that's willing to give that hour of time per week for the student.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, but the foundation is steadily growing. We got our New York chapter last year, and we're steadily reaching out. People want chapters where they live in, so we just anyone that really wants to work, and Quiet's kept. I'm going to try to groom Jeremy and see if he'll do that in North Carolina. See if he'll get one there. That would be wonderful. But definitely, we cannot let what's going on in the world stop us from our mission that we have for music and our young people. And we can't leave it to other people, because we own in our souls and spirits the knowledge that they don't have in other, as people of color, we have more to give as kings and queens. Right. Some of this stuff is inside of us, and it's our gifts. So we have to share. Gifts are meant to be shared, not to hold on to. And Ninth, you're doing a wonderful job with that.
Thank you.
Ma, I want to ask you a question. Can you share a story that maybe QDZ, myself, and Ninth that you want to share that we don't know about J Dilla, or we never heard that story? Because I know I come over random stories, and it just
I don't know. I talk so much. I have so many interviews. I don't know if I got any secrets. All I can say is, well, gee, I really don't know music-wise about the music or anything. The only thing I can say that you might not know is that I have new music from the late 90s and 2000. I have a lot. I just got Studio A closing, so I have the masters to what was in the vault in Studio A, and they haven't been touched. So really? All format. So I'm just telling you, Ninth, it's a whole lot. And so I'm going to have to do I may have to get Ninth to fly in when I open that vault and, help me unfold some of that stuff. Yeah, because I want it done on film because it's important. Mm-hmm. And it's important because of some of his early works. Mm-hmm. And they totally forgot that it was that vault was there because it was some of his early work.
Really?
And so that was a period of time that he used very few samples also.
Yeah.
So that's what is more important to me, because he might have played instruments on some of it himself, because sometimes he did. I remember the time when he did Frank and Dank's album, 48 Hours. He did the instruments on that, played them himself, because it was a challenge for him, because somebody else was doing all kind of sampling and whatever. He said he'd go one better than that for them, and he played the instruments himself. So.
That sound like Dilla.
So when can we
get I was like, I'll play them myself. Of course, he probably used some other words to go along with it.
Yeah, for sure. It was
and I'm sure Frankie remembers exactly what he said.
Dukes, you have all this music. When can we get a song? 2 songs.
I gotta go down that bird. Then
you know what? We're gonna have to we're gonna have to go to that locker together. I had to get a climate controlled storage facility that was protected for that stuff, because I couldn't take a chance on it. And so I graciously pay for that every month until I get it opened up. And only because of the pandemic, I haven't shared it, because I want to do it on film, because it's serious,
You got to document that. Right.
Yeah, I want to document it, and I want to document it with a head of what Dilla embodied and what he felt the love for. And I don't think anybody could do that better than I. No. It would mean that much to the world. No, seriously, I'm maybe I'm being selfish, but seriously, because he has the ear of not only the old heads, but our young people coming up, and you're like a god, and so you want the people to hear it, and I want people to realize he has something new to give, and bringing something forward. You know what I mean? It's not over. You don't have to keep rehashing, because he has stuff stored. Just like when you list, when he sent out CDs, and he had me mail the CDs to people with the tracks on them. A lot of people, I didn't know that a lot of people thought that it was only so many tracks on on the CDs that I would mail out. But actually, it was, if you knew how Dilla worked and how he would transpose his music, there was a way to get inside of the CDs to get other tracks that it was maybe more than one, one edition of something. The track where you go in and you would get more, and so,
he was sending me music.
It was hidden music.
He was send me CDs, and I wish I still had them. It's one of those things where you just take for granted. I'm gonna get more. I'll see it. Like, I remember one time I asked Ninth to send me something that was on a Little Brother album, and he sent it to me. But like, Dilla and I would talk so much.
They often have that stuff too.
Yeah, and he would send me. I would have J Dilla beats that I would talk over on the radio when later on I went to start doing radio.
Yeah,
and he would just say, "Oh, you need some music to talk over beds? I got you." And he would just send me. and I don't know where that is or the CD. Like, I mean, he sent it to me on that, and I wish I still had it because it's.
Well, yeah, but J Rock still got stuff. He still got stuff, and I remember when he would be at the house when Dilla was homebound in Cali, and he'd come every day, and they would work together. You know, as long as Dilla could sit up and was not in a really bad way. Even then, he wouldn't go to sleep. You know, he still was working.
Yeah.
But he knew how to unlock and get inside. So it was a secret to that sort.
Yeah.
J Rock knows it well. We've talked about that. Yeah, but he would have most everything except maybe what is on these masters in the D.
Yeah, I didn't realize Dilla was sick until when I visited him at Common's apartment. Because Dilla was very prideful. He didn't talk about
exactly.
When you talk to him, you can never tell. But then when I saw him, I'm like, oh, and he was like, hey man, I'm gonna be all right. He talked over it.
He wanted nothing to interfere with the.
He didn't want no pity party. He didn't want no pity party, right?
No, not at all.
So
he refused to do that.
How long did you know he was dealing with? What was the exact condition?
It was lupus was a culprit, but they didn't look for it until he had been sick 4 years before. It was that last year they realized what they were dealing with because they didn't look for it. After all, it was not supposed to be something that affected anyone. Mostly black women was supposedly, would be having this, and they didn't look for it in men. But then men are not one to go and have things checked out. They just take the pain as man, and deal with it. But it was so crippling because of him using his hand, that we had to do something about it. He had dealt with it like 4 years. Before he even went to Cali. We would, take him. I'd take him to the hospital, different things, he would never be, the one time when his kidneys were clowning on him, and before he left Detroit, and they were trying to get weak and everything, we dealt with it then, and, with his having to have the ports put in and dialysis and all kind of stuff, and then he would be all right for a few months and then down again. But he never, ever, if he wasn't in that hospital, he was going to be at the tables.
He was.
So even in the hospital in California, he produced every day. There's no lie about him doing donuts in that hospital. The only thing that was not told is that he not only produced donuts there, but donuts was not the last work that he did.
Really?
The night before he passed, he finished the last track on The Shining and kissed it, blessed it, and put it down. But the only thing that I found out later that it was the bass on one of the tracks that he didn't finish doing the bass line on one of the tracks, and Pete Rock finished that.
Right.
But everything else he had done all that he could do, and that was complete. So I'm sure he knew that somebody, and probably knew we were going to reach out to Pete in the first place, Right. But yeah.
Do you ever recall, and this is another conversation Dylan had, and so when he started doing stuff with Uma, which is Q-Tip.
Yes.
Dilla called me one day. He goes, Fuzz, I don't like New York. He don't like going to New York. He hated New York. Am I right? You co-sign, right?
Hated it with a passion.
He go, Fuzzy, so I can say, he's like, I don't like going to New York. I'll go and work and come right back. I'd rather work at home in Detroit or come to LA. I said, I hear you. I said, why you keep saying this? He said, man, they want me to be in Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
It was a time where they had wanted, I don't know if you knew this, Night, Tip and them wanted him to be a part of Tribe Called Quest.
Yeah.
I know.
He was like, bruh, I had to tell him, I don't like going to New York.
Wow.
And not only that, he's camera shy on top of it.
Exactly. He's so shy.
Yeah.
I went to a Slum Village video shoot. And he was like, I need you here, Fuzz. And I was like, it's here. I said, it's at Universal. We was at the Universal Studio shooting the Slum Village video. And he was like, oh man, you make me feel better that you here because I can, I'm like, man, it's Hollywood. He's like, nah, I'm gonna let them.
Let me tell you, the last time I was able to take a picture of my son, it was he was 16, and it was Easter Sunday before we left for church, and everyone was dressing, and I had to beg him to let me take a picture of him in this suit, and he told me, he said, this is the last time. He stood by the chatting cabinet. I don't have that picture. but probably his sister stole it or whatever. But I took the picture he had on a blue suit, and he told me then, he said, "This is the last time." He said, "I'm not doing this again." He said, "Oh, and he said, by the way, it's the last time I'm wearing a suit." He never wore a suit again.
Yeah, no, I get it.
He bought his own sport jacket, but he never wore a suit again. And God rest his soul, he wore one, of course, on his last, for his burial. But that was not his doing.
Right. Now, I know you understand the impact, and you see the impact, with people like, Ninth Wonder and various others. Does Dilla's daughter, understand who her father was?
Which one?
Music.
Which daughter?
Was Jemiah?
Jemiah. Yeah, she knows very well. She knows full well who her dad was, and that was the one that you see on a picture when he was at the studio in California. She was able to spend a little more time. Matter of fact, they had come out to visit during that time. Dilla told me he wanted to see her. He knew that his days were numbered. He had been told. And so he said, I want to see her. He said, "Can you go get her?" I said, "Well, that's not going to happen, because the mom and I don't have that kind of communication, because she felt that I was too close to my son." So that was like, okay. So it's just like, okay, I can't be anybody but who I am.
Right, for sure.
And so, and I'm glad that I didn't steer away from that for any particular reason. I'm getting a little darker, so I'm trying to move to a lot of space.
You're fine. So,
okay.
So you just said something that I never knew, that he knew his health was declining.
Oh yes, he knew for the last year and a half.
Really?
Yeah, he was on dialysis 3 times a week. He actually was having the blood plasma removed every day. To cleanse, plasma plasmapheresis, and all of that, and it still was bad. His kidneys had really just failed him, in the end. Yeah, but she knew full well her dad. Yeah. The one that didn't know him as well was Ty Monet Page, the one that's a dancer now.
Okay.
Know him as well, but that's hard when you get a couple of moms.
Oh, you muted your mic. You muted the mic.
Oh yeah, we can't hear you, Mom.
You muted the mic, Mom.
Yeah, she's muted.
There you go.
That's what it was.
Oh, okay. we couldn't hear you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So Ty Monet doesn't know him as well, but she knows through me, how he felt, and I've been very close to her. And the mom and I get along well.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I can only do so much. I can only, pray that things get better. And the girls are both basically adults now. Jemiah, the baby girl that you see a picture of with him, is 19 now. And Ty Monet, the eldest, is 21. Well, she'll be 21 in a week.
Wow. Yeah.
So time flies.
Time flies. Yeah,
it does. Well, just wrapping up, what would you, want people to know about J Dilla and, on this Dilla Day, celebrating his life, his work, his legacy?
I tell you, he would be so happy. And I can see, and I really do feel him with me a lot. It's no joke. If you in this house, his spirit is here. I purposely moved to Aguadilla because it spells Dilla on the end. It was like no brainer. When I moved to Puerto Rico, it better say Dilla on the end, and he was the water sign. So I'm like, okay, then there's no place like this, and I feel comfortable here. I talk to him, spend my time, and I feel good about the things that are happening because he deserved it. He put in the work. And he loved everyone, He had a genuine heart. He was very compassionate. He asked for very little. Very little. It was nothing that I could do for him this latter part of his life. Not for the last 10 years of his life could I do anything for him. I could even buy him a Christmas gift. I ended up buying a couple of little blow up like dolls or something, aliens that he would like to collect. I couldn't afford to buy him what he was already buying for himself, and he didn't want, he was not about money or things. He treated himself to the Cadillac truck and, a good transportation. But it was like never anything that he wanted me never to worry about anything. He didn't want me to worry. He felt that I had done enough, and he knew I loved him, and we expressed how we felt. And he told me how much he appreciated my leaving the family and coming to take care of him. He never wanted anyone else with him. So it was a blessing that I was truly a blessing that I was able to nurse him the last 2 years of his life, just me and him. Who could ask for more than to be there, and I brought him into the world, and I was there as he left. And that was a great gift, because he was a wonderful person. But he would be so happy that his work is living on, and he would be so happy that it was more children and young people. His listeners are the age group is getting younger, so that's tremendous. And we got a kid puppet. Patches the puppet will be talking about Dilla, and he's only 7, and he'll be talking and teaching younger children, about life stories and being all you can be, and building self-esteem, and just expanding the mind to beautiful things and the beautiful people that we are. And that says much, and it does much for our people.
Wow. We appreciate you, Ma.
And my dudes
taking time out.
Ninth Wonder. I mean, thank y'all.
Ninth, I'll be hitting you up. And say, oh God, it's that crazy lady. But it'll next couple of months, perhaps that we can kind of pinpoint a time period, that when the numbers go down for you, it's fine here in Puerto Rico, maybe but the stuff is up north. I'm just saying, I'm gonna have to go to the D to make it happen. So the first time when things relax a little bit, we got a plan to do that, and I would love for you to participate in that. It would mean the world. It would mean the world to the world.
Yeah,
I'm there for sure. I'm there.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ninth. Thank you, Ma Dukes.
Thank you, Fuzzy. Thank you, everybody. I love you so much. And thank you for keeping the legacy going, promoting and loving on music and all of the kings and queens that we are part of. Yes. I know the ancestors are happy.
Well, thank you for sharing your son with the world. Thank you for sharing your son with the world. We really appreciate it.
If I never did anything, I did one thing right. So I'm going to claim that. I can't speak for anything else, but I claim that. Okay.
It's good enough for my dudes, man. It's good enough for Ninth Wonder. It's frequently asked questions with Fuzzy and Quincy right here